Hey, this is Katie with Wildflower Homeschool and Tiny House Homestead. I did a video a little while ago that kind of explained how I was able to lower my family's bills down to $700 a month. And I got a lot of response on that video, so I kind of wanted to do a follow-up video and get into a little bit more detail about how I went about lowering my bills so much. Okay, the very first thing that I did to kind of help me get organized with my finances was to create a spending journal. And what that was is I just used a 10-cent, these little spiral notebook things. When they go on sale, I buy a ton of these because I use them for everything. But I would just do a spending journal. You can use an Excel spreadsheet also if you prefer to do stuff on the computer. I really like to just handwrite it down. So I would do this every month, and I would write, like, this is a sample, this is not for real. I would write like July spending at the top, and then every day I would write down exactly how much money I spent, like everything. Even if I went to the convenience store and spent a couple dollars on a soda or something like that, I would write it down. And I would do that every day. And at the end of the month, I would go through and total up how much I spent in different categories. So how much I spent on food. And I would usually do like groceries and then also eating out. Those were two separate categories. And, utilities, gas, miscellaneous, like toiletry type stuff, entertainment, whatever categories would fit your family, you could do that. And then I also had a little thing for income, and I get paid hourly, so my income varied each month. So I would write down like how much money I got paid at work. And then I also do some pet sitting on the side, so how much money I made there. And then like if I sold something on Craigslist or, any type of income that I had that month, I would write it down and keep track of it. And then at the end of the month, you know exactly how much money you had coming in and how much money you had going out. And this set up the stage for my budget. So before I would do the budget for the next month, I would look at this in my totals, and I would think of ways that I could reduce each category each month, and how I could reduce my bills. And doing this and looking at it and being really aware of how much money I spent was very, very helpful. So the next thing I did was I created a budget, and I did the budget in a very similar way. Like I would write down, I knew how much my main bills were going to be, and then I would kind of do a tentative how much I thought I was going to spend on utilities. It does vary each month because, of weather and stuff like that. But I would kind of make it a game. I would see how low I could get my utility bill, or how low I could get my food bill, or how little money I could spend on gas. And it was just kind of, a game for me to see how little money I could spend. I also tried to get as many of these null days as I could. I would even put like a smiley face next to them and see how many smiley faces I could get, which also led me to pay all my bills on one day so that I could get more null days. But I turned it into a game for me, and it was fun, And that might mean I'm a huge nerd, but I really enjoyed doing it that way, and that's what worked for me. I also used cash envelopes. Dave Ramsey talks a lot about cash envelopes in his books, and I follow a lot of what Dave Ramsey says, but I don't follow everything. But cash envelopes is something that I found really helpful, and what that is like at the beginning of the month, you put cash into an envelope for gas, and like that's how much money you spent on gas for the month, or entertainment or clothing, or whatever category you thought you could spend cash on. Sometimes that didn't work very well with some things, like I would pay my utilities by check, or I would pay bills online. But for things like food and stuff like that, it's easy to use the cash envelope system, which is what I did. First big one for me was childcare, and I know that that is a huge factor in a lot of families with younger kids is childcare. I'm a single parent. If you're not a single parent, you have to factor in whether or not going back to work would benefit your family, and factor in the cost of childcare. Since I was a single parent and I had to work, one of the ways that I cut down on my childcare expenses was the job that I had. When my kids were little, I actually ended up working in the preschool, so they were able to go there for free, and I was able to be there with them all day too. Ideally, I wanted to stay home with my kids, but it wasn't possible in my situation. Other things that you can do are, work from home. There's a lot of online jobs. You can start your own business. There's lots of ways that you can work and cut childcare cost, because putting your kids into a normal daycare and paying full price childcare cost is really expensive and not something that was feasible for me at all. Even if I was working full time, like a lot of my money was going to be paying childcare costs, which just wasn't going to work. So I had to really find a way around that. But once they got old enough to go to public school, they were there, during the day, and I got a different job doing something that I enjoyed a little bit more and was more at my skill set. Not that I didn't like working in a preschool. I just prefer working with animals. That's what I enjoy doing. So I got a different job in the pet care industry, and I worked there. I discovered that public school was not for us, and I explored options again about homeschooling, ways that I could homeschool. I got a different job where I'm just working part-time and my kids are able to come to work with me. So now we are homeschooling and I'm still working. So it is definitely possible if you are creative and open-minded and can think outside the box a little bit, but you can find a good, affordable situation that'll work with your family. Okay, another thing is utilities, cutting utility costs. Some of the ways that I was able to do that is I unplug everything when I'm not using it. When I'm not going to be home for a while, I'll turn the thermostat either up or down depending on whether it's summer or winter. So like right now it's in the middle of summer, and I usually keep my thermostat around 75 when we're home, but when I leave in the morning to go to work, I turn it up to 80. So my air conditioner is not running so hard, and it costs me less money. I wash all of my clothes on cold, most of my clothes on cold. Sometimes I'll get an extra dirty load that I need to wash on hot. But generally we wash clothes on cold. If I can hang stuff outside on the laundry line, I will. I pay attention to the sun in my blinds. I like leaving windows open all the time because I would like a lot of light in my house. but throughout the day the sun moves different directions, and I will shut the blinds so the sun is not beating right into my house in the middle of summer. So it will stay cooler. But there's lots of little things you can do to really cut down on your utility bill. Also, this winter I bought a little electric fireplace, and it cut my utility bill down like $50 a month from the previous winter, just from using that and turning my heat way down. And because we all hang out in the same room anyway, so we'll heat that one room with that electric fireplace and then not have to turn the heat on as much. I mean, ideally I would like to have a real fireplace, but I don't have one in this house. But when I move, I will be having a wood burning stove. Okay, cable. Get rid of cable. That was the best decision. One of the best decisions that I've ever made. It is such a waste of money. It not only are you wasting money actually paying for the cable, but you are watching all those advertisements that are going to seep into your brain and make you want to buy stuff and make your kids want to buy stuff. So in my opinion, there is no reason to have cable with everything that they have going on the internet. You do not need cable. I will never have cable. So get rid of cable. For your phone line, we don't have a phone line. Most people I don't think need a phone line. We got rid of the landline like 8 years ago. Like, I just haven't had a landline. For our cell phone, I have Boost Mobile, which is a monthly prepaid phone plan. It's got unlimited phone, internet, texting, all of that stuff. It doesn't have a whole lot of like data I pay $40 a month, but I'm connected to Wi-Fi like all the time, so I've never had an issue with that at all. I don't think most people do not need an expensive cell phone plan. Also, you don't need an expensive cell phone unless you can pay for it in cash up front. I never lease a phone or have a contract with anybody or anything like that. Another thing you can do is lower your transportation cost. If for gas, be efficient in your driving around. We live about at least 10 minutes from town, depending on traffic. And, I try and make as few trips into town as I can. I do all my stops and then I come home. So I'm not driving back and forth a whole lot and wasting gas. If you can carpool. If you live in an area with public transportation, use public transportation, but really pay attention to how much money you're spending on gas. Food. Eating out is a huge money drain, and going to restaurants is nice, so you don't have to cook, but it wastes so much money. Going to fast food wastes so much money and is super unhealthy. So I know that there's nights that we're all tired and we don't feel like cooking, but have a quick meal at home that you can just pop in the microwave or heat up really quickly that will keep you from going out to eat out and waste your money. Next thing I want to talk about is about debt. And the way I got rid of debt is with Dave Ramsey's debt snowball. I'm not going to really go into that in this video. If you haven't heard of it, I would look it up. There's a lot of information online about it. But you need to look at all of your debt payments and see if you can reduce those in any way, or which ones you need to pay off. Go ahead and focus on and just do minimum payments on the other ones and try and get those paid off and gone, so you don't have to worry about them. That's the one thing that has enabled me to lower my bill so much, is because I do not have any debt payments at all that I'm having to make. So I don't have a car payment. I don't have a credit card payment or anything like that. So try and get rid of those as much as you can. I do currently have a mortgage payment, but that is that's the one thing I'm trying to get rid of, like my last debt bill that I'm trying to get rid of that'll really knock my monthly payments down to $700. Right now I'm paying $1,240. My mortgage payment is $540, which is a really great low mortgage payment, but I have a plan to get rid of that, which will be even better. But those are the ways that I really got control of my finances, is just doing those things. And most of this is habitual. You are used to spending money and you don't really pay attention to what you're doing. And once you start writing it down and start going over it and start cutting this out and cutting that out and getting rid of that and really taking control of it, like, you can keep lowering your bills and lowering them even more and more. And, again, this has been 6 years since I've started this, to be able to get my bills down to, very soon, it'll be around $600 a month. And that's us living well and having everything that we need. So, but it is possible, and you can definitely keep reducing your bills and get them lower than they are now, just by paying attention to what you're doing. So thank you guys for watching. And if you have any tips or tricks or advice for ways that you have been able to lower your bills, or ways that you budget, or anything like that, definitely comment below. And if you have any questions, let me know also. But thank you guys for watching.